Hello and welcome to Just Ride Bikes. I'm David and this is a brand new Ridley Astr RS. It is a Belgian company's newest and fastest gravel race bike and joins their Canso Adventure and Canso Fast as an all-new family of bikes, very much aimed at the pointy end of a race like Unbound, where this bike was first seen in proto form a few months ago. So performance, aerodynamics from their Falcon RS race bike, full internal routing and space for wide tyres. And it very much joins the likes of the Canyon Grail, the NV Mog, the BMC Cayuse, the Villiers Rave SLR and the new Trek Checkmate as well. Bike designed to be aerodynamic, built for speed, going fast over a long distance, and do trade in some versatility in terms of bike packing mounts for that sort of all-round appeal. And tyre clearance is definitely an area where the bikes are evolving very rapidly. And as I shared recently, the Canyon Grail, which is a fantastic bike, is limited by its tyre clearance of 42. This new bike though, with a 1x setup as we have here, has space for 52mm wide tyres, 10mm more than the Canyon Grail, and comes with a 47mm wide tyre, which are way too wide to fit in that Grail. And if you do fit a front mech, go 2x, that tyre clearance drops down to 47, which is still more than the Canyon Grail, which does rather back up my point I'm trying to make that the Canyon Grail is behind the times in terms of tyre clearance, the tyres that people riding gravel and racing gravel want to ride on their bikes. And looking at the bike a bit more closely, you can see the clear evidence of the Falcon RS in all the tube shapes, the aero profiles on the frame. From the deep head tube, the way the fork crown flows into the down tube, that sort of kink there, the shape of the down tube itself, the big oversized bottom bracket, the drop rear stays of course, and the chain stays are dropped a bit as well to give a tyre and crank clearance down there. And of course, a full internal routing on this model with one-piece handlebar and stem, which is very narrow, as is a trend these days for narrower is faster. D-shaped seat posts out back. And then one further pursuit of aero is an optional frame bag they developed in the wind tunnel with Apidura, available later this year, sadly not available for filming today, which plugs into 3 bolts on the frame there and gives basically an aero fairing in the frame. And we saw Canyon do that with an optional bag on the Grail as well. It's a similar concept. Now there isn't much in the way of bike packing mounts. They have the Canso Adventure for that after all. So no fork mounts, no fender, mudguard mounts for road riding in the winter. But we do have top tube mounts with a cover, keeping it nice and smooth. I quite like that, but not colour matched, so missed opportunity there. And a third bottom cage down there, and 3 mounts on the down tubes. You can have lower or higher. So I guess you go lower when you have that frame pack there. This new Ridley sure looks fast. And you know what else is fast? Building a website with Squarespace, the sponsor of today's video. Squarespace is an all-in-one platform that makes building a professional website for any purpose easy, quick and affordable. Here, let me show you. You can dive right in by choosing from a massive library of templates. I quite like this one, so choose it, then add some functionality to suit your needs. Next, I customize the look, which is super easy with a drag and drop interface. Let me change the picture, change the text, and there we go. It's looking good already. And then we can tap in to some of the powerful tools available on Squarespace. Maybe start a newsletter, a blog, run online donations, or a fundraiser. Then powerful analytics to get the most out of your new website. It really is that easy and fast, and anybody can build a website on Squarespace. And if you want to do that and find out how easy it really is, there's a free trial linked down below. You can get started right away. And if you do enjoy it, then 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain with my code on screen right now. Right, back to the Ridley review. So the new model is a family of bikes, as Ridley says, and it's priced from €3,300 for the Essential and goes right up to over 11,500 euros for the range-topping RS model, which I have here. This bike here with SRAM Red Axis Explore, new DT wide carbon wheels, Vittoria's brand new 47mm wide tyres, and a 3D printed saddle, and the company's brand new one-piece carbon aero handlebar and stem. Weighs 7.6 kilos on my scales for a size medium with no pedals fitted, which is pretty light as some road bikes with a similar specification. Now the Essential is essentially the same frame but with a low grade carbon fibre, so the weight goes up to about 1,000 grams. This is sub 900 grams for the frame. And one small change on that Essential over the RS is a round seat post instead of the aero D-shaped one we have here, which is a detail I quite like actually. This one is all about maximum aero, and the Essential is a bit more real world useful, I guess. You could fit a normal seat post, a suspension seat post, or whatever you want on that model. But essentially the same frames, the same shapes, all the same details, tyre clearance and so on. Now in terms of price, it's a lot more than a Canyon Grail with the same specification, thanks to the way Canyon sells direct, not via shops, which really does. But it's still 700 euros more than a Trek Checkmate with the same group set, but it is cheaper than a BMC Caillou, so definitely at the sort of top end of what you might expect to pay for a carbon gravel race bike with a brand new red Axis Explore group set. Why I'm testing the range topping model, that's because they sent this bike to me as the Halo bike, but hopefully in the future I can try a more affordable bike from the Essential range and see how it performs and compares. Now you might have noticed the bike is pretty dusty because yesterday I was down riding the bike on Salisbury Plain, putting it through its paces. So let me share my experience of riding the bike and how it compares to other bikes in the category and whether it really is a bike that delivers everything racy gravel riders want from a bike these days. Okay, you joined me halfway around my loop today. I'm on a very sunny Salisbury Plain because there's lots and lots of gravel here. Perfect gravel for pushing a bike like this through its paces. So who says we don't have gravel in the UK? And my main takeaway from my tyre mountain bike is that it's definitely a gravel race bike, definitely a performance focused bike. It definitely feels like a race bike, a performance bike. And some of that is down to the handlebar. Very narrow, and these hoods stretch you out quite a bit. So you feel nice and compact, nice and aerodynamic. And that straight away feels quick, it makes you feel fast. And definitely pulls your body into a more aero position. It does feel like an aero race bike on fat tyres really. The bike is rock solid in a straight line. Just holds itself right where you want it. So nice. When you're riding in a narrow rut like that, there's not much room to play with. The bike just holds its line so well. The steering is quite heavy, I guess. So just keeps trucking straight ahead. All right, even no-handed. Planted, the definition of planted that is. But downside to the narrow handlebar is the steering quite slow. There's not much agility in the turns when you're riding the hoods. Feels a bit slow, ponderous perhaps, but for smashing along in a straight line in a fast moving bunch, it's ideal. Quite liking this handlebar actually. Sweat back at the tops a little bit. A nice bit of flare in the drops. Nice shape in the drops as well. Nice grippy bar tape. I'm not sure what make that is, but it's very nice. And the fit of the bike is good. I'm 181 centimetres tall, riding a size medium. It's about 56 centimetre. Nice reach to the hoods. The other way in which the bike definitely ticks the performance box is it's very, very stiff. Despite running 47mm wide tyres and running in low pressures, so 20 psi, it's still a firm ride. And on some of the rougher trail today, we're exposed rocks at high speeds.
and quite jarring at times. So not as smooth as a Giant Revolt, the MV Mog, and you think with a 47mm wide tyre it would be buttery smooth, but yeah, it's not. So I'm riding through Salisbury Plain, which is essentially a massive military training area. They come out here with their tanks and their big guns and make sure they'll work and do all that stuff, make sure they're ready for war. But handily, it's safe to ride. There's a 50k perimeter path called the Imber Path. I'll drop a link down below. That's ideal for riding a gravel bike. Lots of prime gravel, like I showed you just now. Also single track in the woods, double track, everything in between. So good day out. It's sunny today, quite windy, but perfect for testing this bike. And 20 years ago, I used to come here on a mountain bike, way back in the day. Anyway, you hear that? Heavy thumping. Anyway, on down the trail here. I find it fascinating how gravel, the whole scene, is evolving so rapidly, with races getting faster and harder and tyres getting wider. And some bike companies are definitely keeping up with these fast moving trends better than others. I mean, Specialized have no aero gravel bike in their range at all. And here we have a company that arguably has more choice than many others. Although I find it confusing how they launch a new model and not just replace a Can So Fast with this new bike. I'm not sure why you buy a Can So Fast with its narrow tyre clearance than this bike here. So this bike definitely keeps the most progressive gravel racers happy with space and wide tyres and that focus on aero and speed. So it's definitely up there with the fastest gravel bikes in the world right now. And if you're going racing, it's a great option. There's a lot to like here. I prefer the handlebar to the one on the Grail, and we have bigger tyre clearance than that bike. I do think the MV Mog is an interesting comparison. Similar tyre clearance, but a bit more versatility if you're not just racing. And of course, there's a new Trek Checkmate, which I can't wait to try to see how that rides and how it performs. And riding a bike almost makes me want to sign up for some fast gravel events. Unbound maybe next year? Let me know down below. Now, tyres are getting wider, both on gravel bikes, road bikes and mountain bikes. Bigger is better, it seems. And over in the US, we are seeing lots of crazy developments and mountain bike tyres, in some cases being used on gravel bikes. And I've been riding, testing mountain bike tyres on my Specialized Crux recently, and I'll share my experience on that in a future video, so watch out for that. But on gravel bikes, I've been riding 45mm wide tyres for the last 2 years. When I started riding bikes 10 years ago, I was on 36, 38, and then 40 became standard. But now 45 is definitely standard, but we are seeing a push towards 47, which these are, and 50 in some cases. Now, whether the trend will keep getting wider and wider is up to you guys who decide where the limit is. For me, I think I would like to see a limit, I'm not imposing rules here, of 50mm being sort of a limit between a gravel bike, because beyond that, you may as well buy a mountain bike. And part of the appeal of a gravel bike is that it's rough riding off-road. It's not too smooth, it's not too comfortable like a mountain bike. And the more we go down the route of bigger tyres and suspension, the more for me getting away from the simplicity and the appeal of a gravel bike and that underbiking tone I really like about these bikes. But that's my thoughts on how wide a tyre a gravel bike should have. Let me know what you think by dropping a comment down below. So to wrap things up, the new Ridley Astr RS is a very impressive speed-focused performance gravel race bike, but it is quite pricey compared to the rivals in this space, and it does miss a trick in not having fender mudguard mounts, because while it's designed for racing to meet the demands of the pro athletes paid to ride a bike very fast indeed, lots of people actually buying the bike, this model or lower down in the range, won't go racing. They use it for fast riding for sure on their local trails, but might want a bit more versatility, and some brands have shown you can add mudguard mounts with no real downside at all. Let me know your thoughts on whether the bike does tick the boxes for you or not by dropping a comment down below. I'll put a link to the Ridley website down below if you want to find out more as well, see the full range in all its glory. And if you want to see a video on some of the other amazing gravel bikes available right now, then watch the video right up here.
And of course, if you enjoyed the content, want to see more videos like this on a regular basis, then hit that subscribe button right there. But that's all for today. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you again very soon.